Alright, this was a pain in the ass. Now, I made sure that the gasket didn't roll in the back. A lot of people complain about that happening. But yeah, this is the Bremmen Aluminum intake, or not intake, valve cover. And it was not that hard to get in, but little tip, pull this up, gives you extra clearance. You can pull these up right here too. If you need extra clearance from your cables, you know, these fucking pieces of shit. But yeah, unfortunately I don't have a stand for my camera, so I can't really film while I tighten it back up and put every bolt back in it. But yeah, that was fun. I am quite tired actually from it. But yeah, there's all the parts. Getting out the spark plug tubes was fun. I left the high pressure lines going to the injectors on the rail and just took them off one side and loosened the other side so that way they'd have some wiggle room. And that way you don't have to lay them in order. But yeah, this started off as, I'm just going to do the vacuum tank relocation kit. Tip on that. Put your vacuum lines on the bottom ports and run them in the middle between the relocation kit. Kind of right through here. When you go to put it back in and put in this bolt right here. Other than that, something to Turner. This thing needs to go over about 1/2 inch because this bracket right here for the AC is right in the fucking way. And it's not fun. It is also rubbing on that hose down there. I had to tweak this just a little bit to get the clearance right there, otherwise that would have rubbed too, and I don't feel like doing air conditioning. So yeah, fun times. I will find a image online of the tightening sequence for the valve cover. One thing I did do is I replaced this with a metal PCV cap. The PCV valve inside I actually had to pull apart and take the guts out of, and I'll show an example of that. Yeah, working on BMW, mandatory flip-flops, I tell you. But pardon the mess. Yeah, right here. This part machined into the PCV does not fit into the Bremmen valve cover. So as you can see, I took the cap off, the guts are gone, and the cap and the plunger inside of there are machined to supposedly seal together. Now, it did have a very, very small leak when I blew into it, but it was not prominent. If you put more boost to it, it'll probably definitely seal. If you add oil to the mix, that'll also help to seal it. But yeah, I had to take the cap off. The Bremmen PCV that's metal, that one also has a cap that can come off, but it is blue Loctited, so you got to heat it up before you stick your Allen key into the end to get it loose and off, and put the plunger from this one in and put the cap from this one on top of it. So just some heads up if you go with the Bremmen aluminum valve cover. Gonna get you that image here if it's not up on the video already, and good luck doing your own.
Alright, just something of note here, as I was going through the torque sequence, starting off with 1, 2, 3, 4. Once I got to 5, 6, 7, and 8, I went back and redid 1, 2, 3, 4. And I think this is actually where a lot of people have issues and think that the bolts are loosening up. And what's actually going on is you are compressing that gasket down upon a wider area, which makes that compression more efficient and it's more spread out. making those prior bolts that you had tightened loose, because where they had originally compressed the gasket is now lower because of the additional tightening from the other bolts. Going through this is kind of how I did it. I went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, went back through 1, 2, 3, 4, did 9, 10, 11, 12, went back through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11, 12, and then 13, 14, 15, 16, and I kind of just proceeded that way throughout the entire time I was going through the torque sequence on this valve cover, as a means to try and make sure that every bolt was tight when I was done. What this did is it took me 2 hours to torque this valve cover down. So that is something to be aware of when you are tightening down the Bremmen aluminum valve cover, is you do want to go back over it. And once I did have every single bolt tight, I tightened it down a first, a second, and a third time. So I'm going to mention that up in this upcoming video a little bit, but just wanted to go through that and let everybody be aware that this is why those bolts loosen up. This is why people complain about loose bolts and oil leaks, is because they don't go back through it as they're torquing it.
Alright, it's all in. Not sure if you can tell by the sound of my voice, but I am in pain. For those that don't know, I have an L4 and L5 disc that is completely gone. And leaning over this car for as long as I did is immensely painful. What took the longest on this whole damn thing was torquing the bolts down on the aluminum valve cover, because as you torque them and it pushes the whole valve cover down, the other bolts become loose because you're squishing the gasket more effectively. So you have to go back over it. So that took about 2 hours going back over all that crap, and finally getting every single one to torque spec. Relocation brackets down in there. Not sure if you can see it. And everything's back on but the beauty cover. Again, I will post links to the torque sequence. But yeah, fired it up. It runs good. I'm gonna go get something to drink because it is hot. And I will catch you on the next one.